In the years before 1819, Florida was a Spanish colony referred to as La Florida. Now, Florida was often left alone and neglected by the Spanish Empire, his father. Mainly because he was not profitable. He was not a profitable colony. He didn't earn any money. He didn't have any silver mines like New Spain. He didn't have any shipping potential like the Philippines did. He just didn't have any of that. And as a result, didn't make any money. Even when settlers came, it just never worked out. So, he was left alone except for the port system. He was the main port between Spain and its South American colonies. Now, the whole story really changes in 1808. In 1808, the Spanish-American Wars of Independence begin. This is when New Spain and most of the South American Spanish colonies started to rebel against Spanish rule. With this, Spain had no time for Florida. Didn't pay any attention whatsoever. So Florida was completely alone and left to his own accord. And of course, what do you do when you're left to your own accord? You raid people. And so, starting around 1808, Florida started raiding Georgia, which isn't that great of an idea. This largely went unnoticed. Georgia tried to deal with it, and it just never worked. And eventually, it got out. And once the United States, his father, found out about it, immediately one of the states agreed to come down and help. That state being South Carolina. Because South Carolina really was into fighting at this time. So, South Carolina came down, and Florida ended up being chased all the way back to Spanish territory. Now, it's Spanish territory. You're not allowed to go into another country's territory. That's like asking for a war. And no one wants a war. Except for South Carolina. So, South Carolina and Georgia continued to chase into Florida's territory. Now, Florida was sort of freaking out, and in the end, they didn't manage to catch Florida. But South Carolina did set everything on fire. So, anyway, as expected, when Spain found out, he was like, what on earth? Why are you, what happened? And Florida is just like, I was attacked by Georgia and South Carolina. Spain's just like, well, I gotta deal with this. I don't want to deal with this, but I have to deal with it. At this point in time, the revolutions had chilled out a tiny bit. Not for long. So, then he ended up having to go to America and be like, hey, what's the deal? Why is your kids attacking my kid? Alright, what's going on there? And the USA is just like, well, you were raiding him. It was just defensive strategy, And Spain's just like, God, just another thing to add on to all the reasons you suck and I hate you as a colony. Okay, Spain, just get Florida to stop invading Georgia and then this can all go away. We don't ever have to talk about it again. That's it. And then Spain, of course, dealing with his own stuff, is like, I don't want any trouble with you, USA. He's like, okay, just get Florida to stop. Do you want him? What? Do you want Florida? I mean, how much? You can just have him, honestly. I don't ever want to see him again. For free? Well, can you deal with those settler disputes? I'm only spending $5 million on that. Tops. Okay, that works. Now, can we agree on this? You're going to take Florida and pay $5 million for the whole settler thing. I mean, okay. Yeah. Good. Florida, never speak to me again. I never want to see you again. Okay? Leave me alone. And then the Spanish-American revolutions picked up again, and he had to go deal with that. And then he failed, because, Mexico's a country. Clearly it didn't work out. And with that, Florida became a territory, and he had to agree to stop raiding Georgia, or else he could be punished now, because it wasn't foreign territory anymore. Then, a couple years later, it joined the United States of America under the term Florida.